Hi, Vikas. Can you hear me?
Yeah, cool guys. So yeah, very good morning, guys. I hope you're all having a great Saturday. So really excited to do this masterclass. So we have Lalit from Google, who's a seasoned data scientist with previous companies like General Electric and others. So please join me in welcoming Lalit to this session, where we are going to know a lot about what Lalit does on day-to-day basis, what kind of projects he's working on, and probably he'll share a lot about his journey. And we're going to get a lot of wisdom from Lalit. So pretty excited to do this masterclass. So Lalit, again, very welcome to the session.
Hey, guys. Thanks for joining.
Right. Cool. So I think just give me a second, guys. So we're just starting in a minute. Uh, 1 second. So, guys, before I sort of go ahead, and I just want to tell you the format of this masterclass. So, here we are not going to talk a lot of talk anything technically per se, but more or less we are going to just have pure conversations with our speaker Lalit. So, if you have any questions that you want to ask, please post them in the Q&A section in this call. And guys who have joined us from YouTube, over Zoom, over I think LinkedIn as well, and even other streaming platforms. So yes, you post your questions there. Our team will pick it up, and will basically put that to Lalit, and let's see if it gets time to answer those or not. So just don't hold back. Write your questions in the Q&A, and we'll pick those up. So of course, we have curated certain set of questionnaires which we want to ask to Lalit, so that you guys can get to know as in what needs to be done, how you should think about building your journey in data science. So please do that. So all right, guys. So without any ado, let's begin the session. Obviously you guys know Lalit. You might have seen his LinkedIn profile, but I just want to ask from Lalit himself. Can you please go ahead and introduce yourself so that everyone who has joined us today, they can get to know about you.
Yeah, sure. Again, I think it's been repeated enough number of times. My name is Lalit. So, and I think something that is repeated just as many times that I work for Google right now. And I work as a data scientist, and I work a lot on NLP forecasting, and I've also worked across verticals before joining in Google. So I've been working since 8 years, and before that, I did my BTech in mechanical engineering from IIIT B&M Kanchipuram, which is a central government college in Tamil Nadu. And so I also like teaching, and I've always enjoyed teaching and helping people like reach their like learn and understand their career options, etc.
Right. Awesome. So, guys, if you don't know, Lalit comes with more than 8 years of experience in the field of data science. So he's a really seasoned data scientist. And if you have any questions you want to ask to him, so please go ahead and put them in the Q&A. So let's begin this. Let's begin the question here. So we just want to, my first question, Lalit, to you is, we want to know about your background and journey. How did you become data scientist at Google? How did you even get interested in this field? And what were some of the challenges you faced in the journey, right? Because the students who are learning with us, they're also sort of going through the same phase. They do not know, or they are in, and they're not sure what to anticipate, what's next, right? So can you please shed some light on those?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are two things that worked in my favor. So the first thing is, as I said, I studied mechanical engineering, but I also discovered coding, and I really fell in love with the idea of coding and the power that coding brings in. So I've spent a lot of time learning programming and computers, and applying them in the context of mechanical engineering. So I did a lot of work on robotics. We had it as part of our curriculum, where we used machine learning to solve some of these problems in a robotics context. So
Yeah.
that kind of piqued my interest on ML, and that back then there were not a lot of resources as well. So now we are kind of oversaturated. We need that clarity, but back then we had to read large textbooks to figure out one paragraph that is probably useful. So that's kind of how I started learning. And then the most crucial moment is my first job. So I got my first job in Mu Sigma as a data scientist. It was called decision scientist, but it's pretty much the same work. And back then there was no data engineer also. It was all the entire spectrum of analytics we are expected to work on. So that was a great opportunity. And I think I attribute a lot of what eventually happened to the first job that I got. And I genuinely believe getting that first job is something that shapes everyone's career, for better or worse.
All right, awesome. So, cool. I think totally makes sense. So, can you probably talk a bit more about, as in, what do you think? Let's say someone who wants to become a data scientist and they're sort of starting their journey. So, what are the things they need to be cautious around? So, essentially, if you can highlight maybe let's say one specific challenge that you overcome and you would want to advise, let's say, the others who today are planning to break into this field, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So something that I have noticed as I progressed in career, right? So motivation is very fickle. So we might see ChatGPT, or we might see the responses Bard is generating. So Bard is from Google, by the way. So it's the competitor of ChatGPT in a way. Looking at that, we get so inspired, or we see some self-driving cars, we get inspired, and we feel like, okay, I need to do something. So what we end up doing is we collect all the resources and never open them again. So the real key is habit formation and consistently, and preparing every day, reading every day, and improving ourselves every day. And it takes a lot of persistence. So something that a lot of people trip upon is this is the statistics based. It's a probabilistic way of thinking about things. We come from a lot of us come from a calculus based mindset where everything is exact answer up to the seventh decimal, etc., etc. But when you have a probabilistic mindset, it kind of rubs people the wrong way, and it's very easy to quit. So you have to resist that urge to quit, and you should kind of reread and kind of spend time understanding concepts, and actually practicing. So that really helps. So persistence and thinking of things as forming a habit rather than acquiring a skill. You form the habit of learning data science. Yeah, you form the habit of absorbing knowledge on data science. That's, I would say, is the best way to go about things.
Right. So, guys, I think you might have already gauged. So, persistence is the key. So, probably it's not, of course, it's a challenge, but not being persistent, not being driven enough, that can be a challenge. And we need to sort of overcome that if you really want to excel. Right. So, thanks, Lalit, I think, for answering that question for the audience. So, now, next, I'll move on to a very interesting question. I think everyone will find this industry very interesting. So, can you talk about your day-to-day life at Google, Lalit? As in, we want to know, as in, what kind of task you do on day-to-day basis, what kind of responsibilities do you currently hold, and also in addition to that, if you can highlight what are some of the exciting projects that you worked on in Google, so that will be really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would like to answer it into two different sections. So one is about the actual work as a data scientist that I do, and the other is some of the culture part of Google, which makes it really interesting, and how it fosters this sort of it's perfect for data scientists. So that's why Google's kind of leading in AI. Anyway, so in most software companies or any sort of analytics companies, or even most companies are tech companies these days, what we follow is called agile. So what is agile is simply you break down the task into smaller bits and you take ownership of a smaller story. We call them stories, and you do them to completion. So data science involves a lot of experimentation, and most experiments fail. So what I mean by experiment is, let us say you want to try 10 models. So those 10 models become 10, 10 experiments. And similarly, you might come up with a unique idea for a specific problem that is very specific to a situation. So we document it and we start working on it. So this way, the most important thing, as I said, is again consistency. So we ensure that we have a 3 week sprint where we try to not try to we time box the efforts, and discipline is essentially the key. So we finish things on time, and then we ensure that we cover the entire spectrum of ideas. So you have to get a lot of ideas, and then you have to document them, and you have to complete those ideas. And also, there's a lot of MLOps work these days, and these days, cloud is something that is absolutely required for data scientists. And there so coding standards, etc., is really important. So, in fact, some days I think more than English, I use Python as my language of communication when you are really in that zone, right? So there's a lot of coding involved. Lot in the sense that it's just like English. See, so we keep the way we kind of speak, right? I know, like English was considered a big deal at some time. Now it is like even kids know it. In fact, typing, if you think about it, was a very big deal at some time back. But now LKG people are learning to type before they learn to write. Yeah. So similarly, programming is a skill that that is common, and we write a lot of code. And there are some point and click non-coding options, but the idea is it's a tool that we use to solve a problem. So we try to pick the right tool for the right problem and try to solve it. Yeah, and there is a lot of stakeholder communication. So something we need to understand is ultimately it doesn't matter. You should not look at numbers as just numbers. Yeah, you have to put the business context for the problem that we are trying to solve. So so there is a lot of stakeholder communication, and there are regular procedures that we follow to ensure that everyone is in the loop, and we get the right kind of business input, and we are delivering the right kind of value to the customers. So there are some review meetings, depending on the day of the week, and there is MLOps, there is EDA, and then there is so it's a very creative work. So there is a lot of variety, but at the same time there is a consistency to it because of the agile methodology.
Right. So, how many hours of meeting do you guys do on daily basis? Just
see, we are very anti-meeting in the sense that getting into the zone, right, is very hard if you have too many meetings. So we have strict no meeting on Fridays policy, and we have we have like only one meeting for a client, so that we can ensure that there is no uh, over communication. But at the same time, having meetings is important. You have to see what
Right.
happens is you should not build something that is not useful at the end of you might work on something, but the requirement change on the field. So you need to have those meetings, and that is really important. But you should know the balance.
All right, all right. So I think, yeah, that clarifies a lot of things. So can you probably share one or two really interesting projects that you specifically worked on so that, yeah, our audience can know? Yeah.
Yeah. So I earlier I work on forecasting a lot. So it's all about predicting prices into the future. So it was some transport. I worked on a transportation use case where we are trying to predict. So it was Uber for trucks basically. So we're trying to predict what would be a good price, spot price, 1 year into the future in US market. So especially just after the pandemic, right, logistics was largely hit. So it was a very interesting problem to solve with a lot of so the thing is, we depend on patterns. So how can we model it in such a way that even things like pandemic, how do we avoid the noise of pandemic when we are modeling these sort of long chains of prediction? So that was an interesting challenge. I've also worked on equipment failure prediction. So as I said, I come from a mechanical background, and that kind of made me excited about a particular project in my previous job where we were trying to predict part failure, the DC motors or X-ray tubes, etc., etc. So basically, wherever there is wear, there is failure. So we've used some really interesting statistical techniques to kind of predict when a particular part is going to fail. and how to fix the part, when it has failed or what could have failed given the particular situation. So diagnostics. So basically, there was a lot of machine diagnostics we built models for, and there was a lot of NLP projects where we built some chatbots which were giving some interesting answers. But yeah, so
That
I think
bad?
it's a lot of experiment. Yeah.
Was that bad?
Unfortunately, no. I am more into solving specific problems where rather than generic problems. So we think of ourselves like there is Ferrari, and it's like BMW has a racing team, but at the same time they have consumer cars. So there is a racing team that builds the part, and we are the people. We are the people who take it to everyone who can use it. Yeah.
Cool, cool. So, guys, I think Lalit has worked on really cool projects. So, you got to know that he's worked on fault detection, a lot of NLP based work, right? So, these kind of projects you can expect in the day of, or as in the life of a data scientist, where they're expected to maybe work on probably, let's say, some kind of supervised problem, some kind of, let's say, unsupervised problems. But this is part of the job, and this is something that you do not start doing on the very first day. So as you gain experience, probably let's say you spend like 6 months, a year in any company, and then you start sort of working on the core modeling stuff, right? So cool. So I'll move on to the next question, Lalit. I think so. My next question is, can you share the best practices and tips for the aspiring data scientist? So, what's your best tip for them in keeping in mind today's progress and whatever that you're seeing these days? So yeah, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
see, as I said, consistency is the key, and you have to read every single day. You have to make some progress every single day, and it's very easy to lose momentum. So as long as you keep up the momentum, right, it doesn't matter. If you are learning a little slowly, or you're reading super fast, you will definitely get the result. If it is something like you read for some time, it gets a little hard. You quit, and then sometime later you join back. It's not going to work. So consistency is the key. And if you can just like promise yourself that you spend a particular part of the day or a week where you are dedicatedly thinking about learning, is going to help a lot. So maybe I'm getting too friendly here, but I have to say this. So BTech, when we are in BTech, we generally have this, reading before just before the exams, or even in bachelors everywhere, we just read just before the exams. But the thing is, when you're working, you learn every single day. So not just data science, any field, it is in such a way that you have to learn every day and you have to improve yourself every day. So habit formation and consistency is the real key. And in
Right.
terms of specific knowledge in data science, we don't know. So every 2 years, things keep changing. So when I started, I just have 8 years of 7 years of experience, which is like less than 20% of our working life, right? People usually work 40 years in their entire career. So within that short amount of period, half the things I've learned are obsolete now. Yeah. So when I actually initially did NLP, there was no big data, there was no deep learning models for some models I built. Now it is completely learned. It's all transformers or nothing. But who knows? Transformers might be gone. So LLMs are picking up right now. Language generation is kind of picking up and really making leaps right now.
Right.
So you have to keep your learning attitude open, and that really helps.
Cool, cool. So, all right. So, basically, just want to add on to that, right? So, one very pertinent question that I feel that you can share some advice on, as in, so how does one go about, let's say, building a strong analytical skill set or strong problem solving skill set? Because what I feel that apart, so of course you would need to know what's there in, let's say, machine learning. You need to learn about the techniques and algorithms, of course, but I feel problem solving is at the core as well, right? So how does one get better at it? So that,
Yes. Yeah. So it is, in fact, a lot of times the most value add happens from analytics. So it is the insight that is right, staring us right at the right at our face, which is what might deliver the most amount of value. So analytics is all about understanding the specific domain, understanding what the data is telling us. Yeah. So when you're looking at this, if you look at all numbers as the same, you're clearly not going to deliver as much value as if you actually try to understand what the data is saying. So you see some spikes, you see some anomalies. You can apply some statistical techniques to do something. But if you really think about why are those spikes coming up, are they legitimate values? Is something going on? And you come up with an idea that might pretty much solve the issue. Yeah. So analytics is all. Ultimately the point is to deliver value, and analytics has great value. To deliver in terms of you apply logical thinking and back it up with data, you're going to deliver a lot of value, and that is what helps you grow in your career. So all these techniques, etc., etc. The major idea is simply to do that and to do the logic more, but you have to be absolutely good at interpreting data. So if you look at a plot, you should get some ideas on what could be the underlying behavior. Yeah. So domain knowledge, the industry you're working for, some idea about it, business cycles, etc. definitely helps. So analytics is it's like it's a given. So you should know it. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. It just looks like numbers. You have no way of knowing are you adding any value.
Right. So guys, I think if we can create or let's just build stories around with numbers, right? In a way, so of course, Lalit emphasized on certain points, right? So you of course need to have a good domain knowledge. You need to have a very analytical mindset and rigor, right? Because that is very important in the in today's world, and of course, it has been earlier as well, right? So overall, when we talk about problem solving, we really want to focus on let's say dividing a bigger problem into smaller problems, and then trying to tackle each of them through a proper instrument or through a proper technique, right? So I think yeah, totally makes sense what Lalit added on to that. So by the way, Lalit, I just want to know, as in, are you part of any data science community? Do you interact with your peers in a way? Is there a place where you guys sort of share some ideas? Just want to
Yeah, absolutely. So I was talking about agile, right? So we definitely. So the idea, the point is that we have to come up with a lot of ideas as data scientists. So usually, that is the difference between theory and practice, right? So in theory, we learn a bunch of algorithms, but in practice, we don't have perfect solutions. So we have to kind of think of various ways of solving specific problems in specific contexts with the analytics insight, with some common sense, with some business context. And there is a lot of discussion that happens in teams. So communication is really important, and idea generation is a very very important aspect of working as a data scientist, and that is what happens within the team. And similarly, there is a larger community in the sense that there are a lot of blogs, there are a lot of LinkedIn posts that are really useful and timely as well. So some that really help us understand, and even podcasts, right? So they kind of see somebody digest the knowledge for you and presents you with the key insights. So if you want, you can choose to go deeper, but knowing that a particular thing is an option, and then applying it in the right context, and then going deeper is is extremely valuable. So it's really important that we build these networks, and as part of these networks, it's also important to get some mentors, because think about it, data science is something that is still evolving. There is no standard practice. There is no what do you say? There's no this is the correct way of doing things, or this will definitely give you the result. So there is a lot of tribal knowledge and accumulated experience, and we really need to talk to people. We really need to get some mentorship to really figure out what is what works well in a given situation. Sometimes, right, you just need a different perspective. So it's not something you can just it's not something you can just do by yourself. So those days are kind of gone. So you can't break your head till you understand something. It's a lot easier if somebody who has been through your journey is telling you things that that definitely adds value.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So cool. I think, yeah. So let's move on to the next question. So, can you talk about probably the importance of mentorship in data science and specifically how it has helped your career? So, I'm sure there would be one or two mentors in your early career stage. So, yeah, highlight probably talk about as in how mentorship helped in let's say developing your career. And so, of course, in addition to that, I want to understand as in how can students benefit from these mentorship sessions or the from mentorship generally and learn from the industry experts like yourself, right? So, can you talk? Yeah, please talk about that.
Absolutely. See, sometimes, right, we are our worst enemy. As in, we don't. As in, there's a lot of behavioral. There's a lot of behavioral aspect of doing well in career and in studying or learning, etc., etc. So nothing is really out of our reach in terms of what we can accomplish or what we can do, but having the right kind of direction, right, as in channeling our energy in the right direction really makes a lot of difference. So I've had every single manager I hired was a great inspiration for me, and they really helped me move along in my career. There were some amazing seniors in my team. So for example, see, everybody goes through the same thing, right? We read some concept and we have some misconception, and it stays with us till somebody kind of breaks that misconception. So this sort of free flowing discussion and ideas and conversations, right, actually, see, basically the facts are facts. It's like we are flooded in information, but we are starving in knowledge, wisdom. So it's the wisdom that is really important, because see, if you get the big picture right, a lot of details can be figured out in this age of chat GPT or Copilot or Bard or whatever. Yeah. So it's the right insight and the right frame of mind, and that is where learning from somebody who's been through that really helps. Yeah. So information you can read from textbooks, but knowing which textbook to read, that's the real key.
Right. So cool, guys. So I think you understand as in the role of a mentor is really important, right? So even if a mentor is not teaching you technical stuff, but at least it's very helpful to sort of sit down and talk and plan your journey, as in what kind of things you need to learn and what kind of things you need to focus early on, because getting your first job in data science is really important. And then, of course, once you are into it, you can easily build on top of that, right? So, cool. All right. So now I think, yeah, I would want to move on to the next question. So probably, yeah, I just want to talk a bit about Alma Better, right? So you guys would know, right? We are Alma Better. We are an upskilling institution where we provide a pay after placement opportunity, and we provide guaranteed outcomes overall in the field of data science and web development. So I just want to know from Lalit. So what's your opinion about programs like these, which are offered by us or Alma Better? And do you think these programs can actually help students achieve their career goals in data science? And let's say if you know of any particular success story where someone actually succeeded through this, so if you can, yeah, share that story too.
Yeah. So as I told in the beginning, right? So the first job is the real hard part. So you can master, any sort of deep learning concepts, if you spend enough time. But getting that first job opportunity is a really tricky thing. So it's that there are some Instagram reels, right, where things go back and forth. So it's like you don't get a job because you don't have experience. You don't have experience because you don't get a job. So
Right.
kind of go into this loop of being stuck and not getting a job. So and also data science requires a little bit of specific knowledge, which is not usually taught in any BTech these days. And even if they do, right, things are changing so fast that the curriculums realistically can't keep up. Yeah. So it really helps. If somebody can guide you and get you that first job, because that is literally the hardest part. So in terms of success, I think anyone, almost everyone I know, who got that first job, right? Their career took off after they got the data center job. I didn't see a significant change in terms of knowledge or their attitude or whatever. But once they got into the field, right? That really helped. And actually, I would like to take the other perspective as well. If I'm the recruiting manager, I know one of the biggest risk I have is I can't hire a fresher for data science role because there is no basis and there is no there is no guarantee or there is no quality control in terms of what people will be able to do if they join my team as a data scientist, join our team as a data scientist. Yeah. Something like Alma Better, where there's a skin, we call it skin in the game. So, there is, we ensure that the 6 months of training or whatever training that you provide, right? We can directly ask data science questions and get answers, and that we have some quality assurance in terms of how well the person is going to perform once they join the team. Yeah.
Right.
So that's something really important from a recruiting company point of view, and from a student point of view, right? Yeah, you can have even PhD in data science. So if some manager is not feeling confident enough to hire you, it's not going to matter.
Right. So, do you remember your first job? As in, can you talk about, as in, did you expect, let's say, when you graduated from college, did you imagine that you'll directly, let's say, land at Google, right? So, of course, I know there would be a lot of inhibition. So, what was your first job, and what was your mindset? As in, so let's say you were working at this particular company and you wanted to sort of move on to the bigger ones, right? So, what was your mindset at the very initial stage of your career?
Absolutely. So I joined a company called Musigma, which is a great company, and it has, I think, it has helped a lot of people, have a great career in their life, and but something, and even there is spectrum. Obviously, some people did really well, and some people, did benefit, but not as much. Yeah, they didn't maximize their benefit. So something I've noticed is, we kind of want to take credit before we kind of deliver value. So focusing on value add, right? How much value are you adding? So so if you if you studied something for 1 hour and you want to have an impact, it's not going to happen. So you have to put in a lot of effort before you can see the result. Yeah.
Right.
So you take Google or you take Microsoft, Facebook, whichever company, right? So a lot of times the college doesn't matter, doesn't matter the sense, once you gain certain amount of experience, college background, etc., doesn't really matter. So what really matters is the value that you have delivered and the projects that you have done. So how does this happen? You have to be absolutely able to deliver results. So again, this is where the mentorship comes in, because everybody has access to the entire information. Yeah, sometimes you just need to get that intuition or idea. This is where the teams or support groups or discussion, all this really helps. So good peer group who's really motivated to kind of solve some hard problems and focus towards delivering value. Instead of obsessing over, I got this salary, my company is this famous or this big, or my my colleagues are did this, somebody who worked in this job did something else. We should deliver value, and nothing beats value add. So if you have value, you will be discovered no matter what, and you will get into Google, Microsoft, any of the fine companies, no doubt about it. And companies are really eager to hire people, and in fact, think about it, the filter ratio is so bad these days, simply because there is a lot of demand, and they are actually they're casting a very wide net, and there is amazing opportunity everywhere. Yeah. So the economy and all is a different discussion, but opportunities are everywhere. It is our ability to deliver value that really makes a difference.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So yeah, that was yeah, pretty interesting. So cool. So I think you might already know, right? So at AlmaBetter, we're trying to provide a risk-free, job-oriented education to people, where we are guaranteeing a proper outcome, right? So we guarantee that we'll get you a job above 5 LPA in data science. So that's a big bold, and so there's a bold bet, I would say. And so, what do you think about programs like these? Do you feel are these too good to be true, or what's your notion around these? And do you think, as in how, as in, I just want to understand your idea, how such kind of program, let's say, help the students gain the skills and experience they require to sort of succeed in this field. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, see, we in early in our career, right, early in our life, and especially when you're a student, we have a lot of time, but not a lot of money. Yeah. And as we progress into the career, we have a lot of money, but not no time at all. Yeah. Even if you want to learn things, etc., etc. So the point is, you are investing time that if a student joins and they're investing time. That's a very low cost investment. Yeah, they're just investing their time to learn something, and it's completely de-risked, right? So, for example, somewhere you've done it persistently. You know you can do it, and you get that assurance that you are at a place where you will actually like the job and you will be able to do it. So. Getting that assurance right before you lose anything or you commit to anything right is a really really important thing. So I've seen a lot of places where people have certifications, this certification, that institute, this institute, but ultimately they are not able to answer any questions, and somehow paper is never going to help you at all. So paper is not going to guarantee anything. They are going to ask questions. So this entire de-risking in terms of not having to pay before you get a job, right, is a great idea, and I think it really helps. So it's your time commitment, which again, when you are young, is something that is abundantly available. So you should definitely take advantage of it.
Right. I think, yeah. So thank you, yeah, Lalit, for sharing your point on how such risk-free programs can actually help people. Because I know the people that I have interacted with, as in the students, so they are yet to get their first job. They want it really badly, right? And let's say a lot of options out there currently in market, they are really expensive, right? So it also adds a lot of anxiety to these folks, as in they are not sure, as in I have already invested so much money, right? And if I'm not able to get something out of it, it's going to turn out into a bad decision, right? So we're trying to sort of work at the intersection of affordability and quality in a way. So we want to give quality outcomes, and we want to really keep it affordable, because we know that they haven't done any sort of job yet, and probably they would be able to sort of pay, let's say, after they get a job, right? So cool. All right, so I think, yeah, moving on to the next question, and this is going to be our last question before we sort of move ahead for the Q&A section, guys. So Lalit, given, yeah, you have so much expertise in the field of data science, I want to know your honest thoughts on what's the future of data science, and what are the, let's say, top three emerging trends you can foresee in the next let's say 7-8 years, or probably in this decade, right? So
Yeah, so something we have to be very honest is that future is really unpredictable, but two trends are very clear and very strong. So one is from a pure research outcome point of view. So there are large language models, ChatGPT, Bard, etc., where there is a lot of language generation is going to drastically change the way we are going to live, the kind of work that we are going to do. And we it's, again it's a hyperbole. I don't want to kind of put it this way, but we all are going to get Jarvis, for us to use, and most likely it's not even going to be that expensive. Yeah. So we are going to have great virtual agents, and doing a lot of semi-creative work. Yeah. So where you get a lot of basics done, and you can think about refining. So usually you think of any work, right, where you're writing something or you're thinking about something. You have a base thought and you refine it. So a lot of the base, boring stuff is will be taken care by LLMs, and there's a lot of creative work and the scope that we have. So creativity based ML models, where language generation, image generation. So DALI was something that was there some time ago, where it can imagine and picture of images. Yeah. So so those so generations where there's a lot of interest and a lot of value add and a lot of disruption. And then there is the industry aspect, which is companies adopting technologies. Yeah. So what happens is you might be a car company. So automobile company, right, is a purely mechanical engineering company, or at least it used to be. Then a lot of electrical stuff entered cars. Then a lot of electronics entered cars, and now a lot of AI is entering into cars. Yeah, a lot of software entered, and then a lot of AI is entering. So self-driven cars, autonomous, or ADAS systems. Right, ADAS systems are actually a reality which we are using today. Yeah, so a lot of machine learning is going to enter into the way companies are going to offer. See, people have been selling in retail stores for centuries, I guess. Yeah, but now AI can really transform it in terms of how where what kind of services we can provide, etc., etc. So again, there is a lot of scope in terms of helping the companies take the agile, take the data analytics journey, where you need some business analysts who deliver some immediate value. You have some data engineers who will actually organize your data. You have a lot of uh, uh, you know uh, important and interesting interesting roles that are emerging these days. So, for example, MLOps was not a big deal up until recently. But as organizations mature and they're adopting more and more ML, there is a specific role of MLOps that is coming in. Earlier, data engineering and data science was pretty much the same, but there is clear distinction now, and there is a clear scope for specialization. In fact, as we were working on, we were testing out Bard and ChatGPT, right? So we were thinking of prompt engineer. So the thing is, you give some prompts to the machine, right, and they kind of give a reply back. So how do you design the prompts and how it responds to prompts? That could be a specialized role someday. So the point is to keep ourselves open and know that analytics is always going to be forward-looking, and there is a lot of it's a tool that we are going to deliver value ultimately. So focusing on value delivery, definitely will always point you in the right direction.
All right, awesome. So, guys, I think if I just can summarize, so you can expect a lot of generative AI technology being built. So, when we say about generative AI, essentially we're talking about generating either text, which is what, let's say, ChatGPT or Bard does. We are talking about images, right? So can you generate images like DALI, Stable Diffusion? There, in fact, there is popular Mid Journey as well. I've used the Discord server and it's fantastic. So can you generate speech as well, right? So there's text, there's sound, there is an image. There's a lot of work on generating video, and I think they have really good tools. Based on really good prompt, you can you can generate a video, right? So of course, new fields or new roles like prompt engineering, these will evolve because you'll ultimately need to know what kind of prompt you need to supply to the machine to get the best response, get the best output, right? And so apart from that, of course, there is progress in generative AI, but it's not the complete set of thing, right? So of course, there is traditional machine learning which is being used in various industries at scale, right? So I was working earlier at American Express, and they have like the biggest fraud model working in production, right? So basically, imagine you swipe a credit card, and basically everything, as in the decision making, whether you want to approve or decline a transaction, right, on fraud reasons. So it's enormous, right? As in, how do you make that decision within 1 second? You have to sort of fire some sort of logic, you have to fire some set of models, and then you get that idea, right? So these kind of applications will still remain, and in fact, we can probably expect better algorithms in future to tackle these classic supervised, let's say, problems, right? So, but of course, the field of AI is continuously evolving. There's a lot of hype currently, and there's a lot of progress in generative AI. Earlier, we were talking, as in models like LSTMs, RNNs, they were really popular, right? And in fact, we grew up reading those. But within a year or two, when 2018 came, and when there was this famous paper which said attention is all you need, that sort of changed everything, right? So we got a really good, powerful transformer models, right? and now people sort of building on top of it, right? So much progress happening currently in the field of AI, and I'm just really excited to sort of witness what's going to come next. But just to as a disclaimer, I'm saying that the classical AI or classical machine learning, which is currently being used, that is going to stay. So there's so many problems which, let's say, might not be solved by these fancy and advanced models, which have totally a different purpose altogether. And what industries use overall in general, of course, the idea of industry is also sort of broadening, and there's so much of overlap that we see out there, right? But of course, the fundamentals are going to stay, and these things are only being built on top of those, right? So
something I would like to add as well as the third thing is actually cloud, where the availability of compute and the quickness with which it is being made available, right, is making humongous changes across all companies. Even a 200-year-old company is adopting to cloud and trying to deliver value, maintain that competitive edge. So and also as the models become stronger and stronger, you need large amount of compute and in the right and within that latency to deliver the result. So cloud is almost like it's always required. It's almost like mandatory when you're working in data science with large data sets. So earlier, I remember I used to work on my laptop with some data sets, but these days without a large cluster, there's not a lot we can do in terms of in terms of the projects that we get, or they are exploring the opportunity. Yeah. So cloud is one more thing that is going to integrate into data science and kind of make things really fast and interesting.
Totally. In fact, I would say the advancement in cloud computing and the infrastructure is it's sort of undeniable, and I think a lot of progress that we are seeing, right? Even these advanced models that we were discussing just a few minutes back, right? Those have been trained on really powerful set of cloud infrastructure, where companies like Nvidia, they have really ushered in a great innovation, right? So they are coming with really powerful GPUs where you can do very heavy computation. You can do sort of model training, and if you guys know the models that we're talking about, like ChatGPT, they have more than 175 billion parameters, right? So that's too much. I will, but if you want to train models of these gigantic size, you need that very solid infrastructure to achieve, right? And there we cannot deny the as in the benefits or the advantages of cloud computing, because that's where a lot of new infrastructure is being built, and in fact it's like now a de facto for everything, right? Even a small startup today, they would simply go ahead and host a simple service on cloud, right? Even to get started, right? So cloud, I feel, has become a de facto. And if you guys don't know what cloud is just somebody else's server, as simple as that. Of course you can buy that, but of course it's a set of servers where you can run, let's say, different set of operations. So there could be operations like compute, right? We're trying to compute a lot of things, we're trying to calculate stuff, and there could be other sort of operations. But especially the infrastructure that we are talking about, they are really uh, uh, really important in terms of compute capability, right? So they can really churn out huge numbers after cranking so many operations, right? So cool. Anything else, Lalit, you want to add? Or
That's all.
awesome. Cool, guys. So I think we are sort of ready to do the Q&A. So I think we have already we already have a lot of questions. I think most of them are answered. So guys, can you put your questions in the chat in or in the Q&A, so we can sort of pick up and answer those one by one, right? So yeah, meanwhile, you guys post your questions. I just want to talk a bit about Alma Better and how you guys can use our platform to kickstart your career, right? So I'll just share my screen and give you an idea about the platform. So it's a basic platform demo, and I'm sure you guys are going to help love this. because you're going to sort of learn new things about how what we are providing and how you can leverage those, right? So essentially, what you just need to do, go to our website almabetter.com, right? And so once you sign in, right, or once you sign up, we are providing a lot of free resources for our free learners, and of course you're as an enrolled learner, you have access to a lot of things. So firstly, there is a notion of goal, right? So let's say, of course, as of now, I can assume that you all guys are interested in learning data science, so that is your goal. And so there are certain things that you're seeing on the screen, and I'll just quickly walk you through those, right? So this is the home section where it's sort of an aggregation of sorts, right? So everything is here. So you have free courses, you have a lot of coding assessments, you have quiz assessments, you have capstone projects and all, right? So now let's go ahead and explore the curriculum, right? So this is the full stack data science course, right? And it's divided into different modules. There's an updated version of it, and I can also show you that. So yeah, just give me a second. So probably, yeah, I'll just hang on. Yeah, so just, yeah, bear with me for a second. Probably. All right. All right. I think so. Overall, yeah. Let's not get distracted. I think there's some issue with my password, but that's all right. So overall, in our curriculum, there are like 7 modules, right? So as of now, what we have done is, and I can show you on the website as well, right? And once you sort of enroll, so if you look at the curriculum, right? So we have now divided our curriculum into 4 tracks overall. So the first one is your orientation track, right? So orientation track is more or less setting up the fundamentals before you even get to learn the core concepts in data science. So where we try to hone you guys on skill set like problem solving, basic aptitude, basic communications. Then comes the foundation track that you can see. So in foundation track, there are 4 modules that you guys need to complete. So like Python for data science, analytics framework. So we are going to learn Excel, Tableau, and all SQL. Then there is maths for data science, where you're going to learn about calculus, linear algebra, probability, statistics. And then the 4th module is machine learning, where you're going to learn about core machine learning algorithms and techniques, right? The next is a specialization track. So you can choose one of these specializations. So let's say if you want to become a data engineer or ML engineer, so you can choose this data engineering specialization, but you're interested more towards the business, and so you can pick up this particular specialization, which is business analytics, and you can become a data analyst, a business analyst, a product analyst, and whatever kind of analyst that you can sort of imagine. And the third is, of course, advanced ML. Here we are sort of focusing on deep learning, a lot of NLP concepts, time series and recommender systems as well. So you can see the career outcome, and then the last track is the career track, where there are like 5 major modules that we are focusing on. So one is, of course, your business communication, because we know communication is an important aspect of in the life of a data scientist, right? Because you'll need to work in teams, and you'll need to communicate your ideas freely. So that is very important. Next is we focus on building your profile and your portfolio. So we will help you build your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your GitHub portfolio, and build your own website if need be, right? And then we are conducting more than around 40 mock interviews across different concepts to help you prep for these companies, right? And then there are some other advanced concepts which we have added. So why are we even doing this? So we have a lot of hiring partners who are continuously interviewing a lot of candidates, and we're continuously getting feedback from these set of people. So we're trying to inject those feedback back into the curriculum in a way, trying to basically model the curriculum in a way which is sort of like a mirror replica of what the industry currently expects or needs, right? So it's very industry oriented, it's very practical in a way, our curriculum. So you guys can have a look at it. But in the dashboard, if I go ahead, so within each module we have multiple chapters, and within each chapter we have multiple lessons. So let's say if you go inside this particular lesson, so there is this video bit, right? And there are a lot of bars. You might have seen something like this on Instagram stories as well. But of course, what you can do, you can move across activities from here and there, right? So the first set of activities are basically your learning activities, where we have a video and a collab notebook, and you can also view this collab notebook externally. And then the next set of activities are coding assessment activities. So we have built a native ID which runs within our platform, right? And we currently support all these languages. So of course, you need to concern yourself only with Python and SQL. But we also have support for JavaScript, React, and Java as well, right? So we're going to add more languages, but this is something that you guys can use to keep practicing and learn coding, right? And there are a lot of controls that you can use. And so we also have functionality to basically get your code auto evaluated, right? So once you submit your code, it will run through some test cases and you will be automatically graded, right? And then there is a quiz, there is also an assignment, so you can do that. There is a discussion forum which is sort of mapped to each particular lesson. So you can follow these discussion and forums and the topics. And if you have any doubt, any questions, so you can raise your questions here, and our team of subject matter experts will help you understand that, right? And if I click on this lesson, so you can see the entire module here, where and your progress and what kind of lessons you have completed already, right? So this is your mainly course or course structure. You have a lot of free resources. You can see your, let's say, live classes cards here. So once you click on join class, you will be taken to the live class platform, where I'll just show you, right? And we are using a third-party platform called AirMeet, where we are sort of organizing our live classes. But this is very useful. So I'll just show you. So let's say these are where you're going to see your sessions for your cohort, right? And let's say this is my last class. I can go ahead and watch the replay as well. So I can not only go through the recording, but I can also go through the chats and the questions which were discussed in the class, right? So you're not missing out on anything, even if you miss the class for any reason whatsoever, right? And then interestingly, there is another bit which is lounge, right? And these are like tables. So what we do, so at the time of orientation, we encourage our students to create teams. And once these teams are formed, we create those tables here. So let's say my team has something like data in it, right? For example, data class. So this is my group. So this is usually a group of 5 people. And I can join this table, let's say 24/7, and you can start doing audio, video, screen sharing conversations with my peers, right? So this is a good way to do peer learning as well. You have access to them 24/7. So probably I think some of you might have already seen, but these are the tables where you can interact in groups all the time, and this is where you are able to see the schedule of the upcoming and the past classes. All right. All right. So let's move on to the next bit. So there is a practice tab as well. So we have a lot of practice elements. So these are standalone coding problems. You can do a bunch. So these are coding assessments, which are essentially bundled problems. And then the quiz assessments, which are again a set of bundled quiz questions, right? Cool. So guys, before I sort of go ahead and talk more about this, so I think we have a Google form, and basically this is a form where we want to take feedback from you. So I think team, can you share the form over the chat with everyone so that they can go ahead and submit it. Please share the form link, and so that our students can submit the form. All right. So continuing. So these are like quiz assessments. So So the practice element is there so that you can do a lot of practice on Python, SQL, machine learning, and you can hone your skills there, right? Then there are a lot of interesting projects that we have. So let's say I go to this Netflix movies and TV shows clustering, right? So this is of course an unsupervised problem. So you find the project description here, you find the evaluation criteria. There's a sample presentation video which you guys are expected to submit, and then there is a final checklist. And what you just need to do to submit the project, you need to enter your project link. All the details are here. You need to enter the video link. Once it's submitted, it goes to a submitted place, and it goes to an evaluator who actually evaluates and basically shares the feedback on the submitted project, right? So you can of course filter on different skills and modules to find the relevant project. But we have, I think, a lot of projects that you guys can sort of get started with, right? And then there is this career bit, which is your AlmaX curriculum. And AlmaX curriculum is really in depth. So there's a lot of focus on business communication, learning and revision. There's a lot of focus on job preparation, right? So probably I might not have time to dive deep into each of these, but I hope you guys are able to see that there's so many things that you guys will be doing in AlmaX as part of your curriculum. And if you can see, these are like company level resources. So as an industry level, so within fintech, we have defined as in what kind of companies are there, and we have added basically what kind of questions are being asked in these interviews. And we're also going to come up with a platform where you're going to also see industry question as an interview questions, right? There's another feature that we are providing our facility, which is mentorship. So we definitely talked about the importance of mentorship in this call, and I think Lalit was also talking about that. So as a student, what you can do, you can go, let's say you want to seek some guidance, you want to plan out your journey. So you can simply go ahead and book a mentor session. And once you complete the flow, you'll be able to see your bookings here, right? And so let's say along your journey, some point of time, you might have some doubts or issues you want to get resolved. Something is not working for you, so you can use this need help feature where you can report a problem with us. And this problem could be at various level, right? It could be a problem with the new dashboard, or probably there's some product related issues, or there could be some issues with, let's say, some erroneous content. There could be any problem whatsoever, right? So please, you can go ahead and raise those tickets, and our team will try to resolve them at the earliest, right? There's also a performance bit. I just wanted to quickly highlight you guys. So you can track your performance across modules, right? And on different categories like in daily quiz, in competency challenge, in capstone project, and all, right? Now, next, the most important thing I feel is the community bit, because we are a community focused learning platform. And so this seems like LinkedIn or Facebook in a way, right? But this is useful if you want to network with your peers, or let's say you want to interact with people who are going through the same phase, right? So there are different ways in which you can leverage this community, right? So there are very interesting groups like Chill Space, where people are sort of sharing memes and having a laugh, right? This is very important because we understand that in the life of a student who is trying to get their first job or maybe their second job, spending time on learning throughout the day, as in on during the entire days, can be pretty exhausting, right? So you need to have a space where you can basically relax and chill and just have a good time, right? So you can share memes or maybe interact with them. Additionally, you can do a lot of things, right? So if you look at these filters that we have, right? So let's say I want to find out someone from let's say Hyderabad, right? So what I can do, I can go ahead and search Hyderabad, and I can see everyone in our community who is from Hyderabad. So I think we have a lot of people from Hyderabad. So that's why this list is sort of not ending at all. And that's why you can sort of go ahead. So let's say I want to probably interact or connect with, let's say, this Rajesh Bhardwaj, and I can see his bio. So this is a very good place to sort of interact and find very relevant peers who you feel could be really helpful in your journey as well, right? Cool. And additionally, what we are also doing, guys, so one last thing that I just want to highlight is we also give an option to, let's say, switch your cohort, right? Honestly, we do not encourage it because we want you guys to be really sort of focused. But let's assume, let's suppose you're not well, you have not been doing well for, let's say, a couple of weeks, or maybe your work commitments has increased a lot, right? Because we are also a part-time program. So if you want to change your cohort, you can simply go here to edit, and you can see the status of all the cohorts which are currently running with us. And so let's say I am in cohort transform, which is my green, right? And I can see that, okay, this is the topic which is going to be taught, let's say today. And let's say I was not able to follow this, and I want to maybe start from the beginning. So probably I can switch to cohort quantum, or maybe switch to cohort react, right? So you can see this option, change cohort. So that is how it sort of works, right? So we have a very flexible program curated for you guys so that you can excel in your journey. So this is overall, I just wanted to, give you a walkthrough on the platform. So now I think we are ready to sort of cover, hang on. Yeah, we are now sort of ready to take on the questions which have been asked in the Q&A section. So probably let's have a look at them one by one, and I hope that was helpful. So Mukesh has a question. I think Lalit, let's try to maybe answer that. So how to get into data science at Google as a fresher? So any tricks, any tips and tricks there? Yeah.
Yeah, so there are two parts to it. I would like to clarify the question. So you're starting out as a fresher, and you eventually wanted to get into Google. That's what everybody does actually, pretty much. So all you have to do is learn continuously, and and deliver value. See, maybe I'm kind of repeating myself here, but as long as you have done good work, right, in whatever opportunity you are given. So you are asked to build some model, and you do a good job. It shows up in resume. So Google is actually very particular about not showing any bias and giving everyone an opportunity to interview and to really be part of the company. They're always looking for good candidates, and there is nothing stopping you from not getting a shortlist other than the quality of your work in your resume. So if you build your resume and you are doing some good work wherever you are, right? So there are always opportunities around us. After you get your first job, you're doing your second job or whatever. So as long as you do good work, you will be rewarded, and Google does not discriminate based on any criteria ever. Yeah, and also the interviewing process is very fair. So it's not like there is some insider knowledge, etc., that is going to stop you from getting. So in fact, even referral is not going to help or hurt your chances that much if you have the right kind of resume. Yeah, so it's all just purely good value add, nothing else.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Lalit, for the answer. All right. So I think so. There is this guy named Rohan. So he has a question. So he is pursuing CA. All right. So shall I also learn data science? What are the benefits and how difficult and easy it would be for me as I'm a non-science student, right? So we get a lot of questions nowadays, Lalit. So a lot of people are not confident about their background, right? So either if they're coming from non-engineering background, or if they're coming from non-coding background. So within engineering, they feel that I've not done any coding at all. So can I actually pick it up, right? So this is like the most prominent question that I get, and I just sort of sigh in dismay, right? Because people in our country as a student, they're not very confident, right? So if they've not done something previously, so they're not very confident about taking it in future. So what's your take on this?
Psychologically, right? You just follow a trick. We all have friends, doing different things in life, right? You must be having a friend who does coding, or who's from a science background. Talk to them and tell me if they're geniuses. Yeah, so they are not geniuses, right? It's not like they are not like out of the world smart people, right? they have learned, they happen to learn it a little before you, but it is not beyond our ability or whatever, to kind of learn whatever we need to learn. Yeah, it's see, generally most things are very are designed for normal people with average IQ, etc., etc. So it's not like you need extraordinary intelligence or creativity, etc., etc. Most things you don't need all that. You just need to consistently work at it. Yeah. So if somebody started earlier, that lead will stay for a maybe a few days, actually, not even more than that. But after that, you kind of it's all about how much how committed are you going to be. Yeah, it's as simple as that. And one of the fair thing I felt about data science, at least up until recently, is data science is completely new. Somebody might have studied computer science, but it's not really going to help them, because they're going to have to learn a lot of different things altogether. Yeah. So even Python was not particularly focused on people used to code in Java and C++. So it's not even like Python was known to them, or that they got a leg up. So there's nothing like that, and especially with Alma Better and this job guarantee, no risk thing, right? I think it's completely worth taking a shot. And there is also another other aspect of it. These days, there's a lot of hybrid requirements. So, for example, you are a CA, and you can code and try to bring insights into the data, do some anomaly detection, fraud detection, with your domain knowledge plus data science, right? That is actually going to be extremely valuable. Yeah. See, always think in terms of what is the value add that you're doing, and in terms of the effort that you have to put. And just know that learning does not require anything. Yeah, anybody can learn anything. That is pretty standard. Yeah?
Right. So totally agree to the point you mentioned, Lalit, here, right? So I think Rohan, you are working in the as a CA, right? So you already have a lot of understanding about, let's say, the business or even the finance world, I can expect, right? So if you couple that with your data science knowledge, you're going to be a sort of invincible in a way, right? Because let's say in today's world, a lot of people, they're learning and picking up these data science as in data science skills, right? But the extra edge would be the domain knowledge, right? We know data science is a domain agnostic field, but if you have the relevant domain knowledge, right? So if you know about finance sector, or probably if you know about insurance sector, or probably maybe e-commerce, right? If you have that domain understanding and you club that with your data science knowledge, you are going to be sort of become unstoppable, right? Because there has to be a good amalgamation. And usually what happens, right, in the life of like these data scientists, so the domain knowledge sort of comes with experience, right? So of course, when you're sort of starting out, you might have very little knowledge about how the business works or how even the company sort of operates. But over time, as you gather more experience, you gather more domain knowledge, and if you club that with your data science skill set, so I feel that's a really good amalgamation. I feel, right. Cool. So I think so. There's one question from Chinta Reddy to Lalit. I think to you. So, what is your role on business decisions as a data scientist? Right. So, interesting question. Yeah.
So, see, business impact. See, ultimately, we get paid when there is some value add to the company. So, for example, I worked on forecasting project, and there is some bidding process, etc., etc. But let us say I increase the win rate. The amount of times that that the win rate is typically around 1 to 2%. If it becomes 1.01%, it is going to add millions of dollars to the company. Yeah. So the point is, ultimately we are delivering value to the companies, and ultimately we are adding value to the end user. So there is definitely a lot of business impact. Now the thing is, how do we maximize the business impact, and how do we ensure whatever we are creating is being consumed? So one big risk in data science is a lot of POCs, that is proof of concepts, and not a lot of them actually go into production. So this is where I personally pay a lot of attention to understanding the business stakeholders and understanding what it is that they actually want. Yeah. So this is where the agile concept that I was talking about, where you have periodic reviews, time boxed efforts, continuous feedback, all that really helps.
Right. Cool. All right. So I think Chinder Reddy, you have got your answer from Lalit. So there is a question from Mukesh, right? And he wants to basically understand about the work-life balance for a data scientist at Google. But in general, if you can talk about the work-life balance for a data scientist, is there something like that, or
Yeah,
what?
absolutely. So,
Right.
what do you do in your free time? Right? You play cricket. Yeah, like we can assume people play cricket, right? When they're free, they kind of play cricket. Yeah. So, what do you think Sachin Tendulkar does during his free time? Will he play cricket as well? So the point I'm trying to make is, I know once you are kind of doing well in your job, right? This idea of work-life balance and all is kind of, kind of a moot point. So if you enjoy what you're doing, you do it to the extent that you're enjoying. If you are enjoying, your family life better, or your social life better, you have the opportunity to it. We are all, I'm guessing a lot of us are unmarried and all that, right? So do what is fun for you, and once you start enjoying what you're doing, right, once you get to that the right kind of competence, right, it's not something that you think about. And having said that, there are strict policies in Google in terms of how not overcommitting, and then there is here it's a very fair company, and it's really really good in terms of ensuring that people are not overworked, people are not overburdened, people are working on something that they are interested in. Yeah. So Google as a culture is really amazing, but more importantly, kind of associating too much with more than company culture, right? If we have a right attitude towards ourselves, right, it's really great. Yeah. So I generally like coding and stuff, so I spend a lot of time coding anyway. And a lot of times it's not office related work, but some interesting thing I try to solve or read or understand and stuff like that. So there is a lot of work life balance. You can completely choose what you want to do in life, and there is a agreement that we have with any employer that this is what we are going to deliver, and as long as we deliver, nobody really bothers us. It doesn't matter if it is Google or elsewhere. Yeah.
Right. So what was the last series that you watched
Uh,
on the work-life balance? Just yeah,
TV
wondering.
show.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, see, I watch Family Guy. That is, every episode that gets released. In fact, I binge watch like crazy. So, yeah, so I watch a lot of TV shows. So there is no stopping that. And did you know that Justin Roiland got fired from Rick and Morty, and that has been my most recent tragedy.
Okay. Right. I think Rick and Morty has been like everyone's favorite, right? And it's so well made.
Yeah.
So cool. All right. So Mukesh, I hope now you have some clarity on probably what to expect when you're working as a data scientist. So there is going to be work-life balance. Of course, there could be days, let's say, when the business is under the pressure and probably they're expecting the data science team to maybe, let's say, build something that can power a really strong feature or maybe help them grow their business, right? So, of course, depends upon the time, but overall, you can expect a fair amount of work-life balance because when I was working as a data scientist, most of the time I did was staring at the screen and watching my model train. So a lot of things happens, right? So probably I hope you have a clarity on that end. So cool. So there's a question: can a coding freak get into data analyst and science? So what do you think, Lalit?
Coding?
Coding freak. So as in someone
Okay,
who
somebody who
really
likes coding. See, it's like saying I speak English well, can I get a job? So coding
right.
has become a very coding has become a very integral part of all sorts of jobs we do. It doesn't matter you're a civil engineer, mechanical engineer, or any engineer, right? Coding really makes a lot of difference in terms of your productivity and the value add that you do. Yeah. So absolutely. So see, coding for the sake of coding is a very different. See, it's a very different conversation. So that that's a different conversation, but purely from a value add point of view, right? So there's a lot of work involving creating mathematical formulae and writing the custom mathematical structures into programs where coding. If you can code fast, it really helps. Of course, there are standard libraries that you can use and make do up. But when you get really creative, coding really helps. Yeah.
Right. Cool. All right. So there's a question from Rishikesh. He's a fresher from finance background and is currently studying data science. So he wants to know, as in what kind of specialization he should opt for, and which are like, let's say, business analytics, data engineering, or advanced ML. So probably, yeah. Please go ahead.
See, so this is again. You can again. I think I'm repeating this too much, but it's always about value add and what companies are willing to pay for. So a lot of companies are still in a place where they're digitalizing stuff. They're still building their data infrastructure. They're still building their servers. They're right now collecting data on things and storing them in SQL. So there is a lot of demand for data engineering, and I have seen that naturally data engineering has a data engineering teams are much larger than data science teams because of the amount of work and the amount of opportunity that is there. So there is a lot of demand for data engineering, and at the same time, a lot of people who are quickly promoted are always people who are closer to the business users. So that is where a lot of analytics folks who work closely with the data and about driving actionable insights, right? Those kind of people have seen kind of transition into product manager roles or grow really fast because they have that high visibility. And I've seen a lot of people reading research papers and doing ML, doing really good for themselves. If they are into that introversion sort of stuff, right? That they it really plays well into that. Yeah, because most times you are reading and thinking of things. So it completely depends on your temperament and in terms of what you want to, what you enjoy. So something I would say is you have some time before you can select the specialization. So do the basic modules or learn the basics, and then think in terms of what did you enjoy more? Did you enjoy the creative aspect, or did you feel like knowing exactly what to do where you don't have that uncertainty, right? You enjoy that. That is what you can focus on, or you are more into you enjoyed the part of understanding data and giving insights on data. That is when you can pick the specialization. So do the foundation and then you make your specialization. And of course it also depends on the first job first job that you get, and there is always a lot of overlap in terms of what these three roles are, and you might end up doing all three, or there might be a fourth thing that might come up, and you might end up doing that. Point is, instead of start and make some progress, you will naturally find your groove and you will be able to pick a good choice.
Right. Cool. So I think just to add on top of it, so I think Rishikesh, so here is my 2 cents on this. So let's say once you have completed your foundation track, right, and now you're in that stage where you want to choose a specialization. So let's say if you enjoyed programming a lot, right, and you would want to work on, let's say, continue working on, let's say, on solving these problems through, let's say, coding or programming, or you're interested about what's happening more on the hindsight. So probably data engineering would be a good option for you. But let's say if you want to really be involved in making, let's say, business strategies with the help of proper analytics, right? So business analytics would be a right specialization for you. But now let's say if you want to work at the intersection of both, right? Which is a business and then your software engineering or the engineering aspect. That is where the data science sort of data scientist or advanced ML will come, right? So of course you might not know it today, but let's say once you work your way through the foundation track, you will be able to sort of understand, okay, what did you enjoy doing the most? If you love coding all the way, probably you should do something like data engineering, or probably, of course, you can do the advanced ML specialization. But if you really want to work on the intersection of business and then of course you have this advanced ML specialization. But I would suggest honestly for freshers, you should be choosing the specialization business analytics, because ideally the way to becoming a data scientist is first becoming a data analyst, right? So you first need to understand how to analyze your data set and derive core insights. Then only you can actually think about becoming a true data scientist, right? So I hope, yeah, that's clear to you, Rishikesh. So cool. I think so. Probably what we'll do, we'll take, I think, two more questions and then we'll wrap up this session. So I'll just so I'm a BCom student. What should I do next? We have already discussed. Just yeah, start today. Be persistent. Be consistent, and yeah, do not get distracted. Right. So all right. So it's a bit childish question, but how to build the logic with respect to data scientists? What do you make of this question, Lalit? Do you?
Yeah, so I
Right,
think I
Subham.
get what the intention was. See, as I said, we come from a very calculus mindset. So we have fixed answers. We have a very so the probabilistic thinking is something that doesn't come naturally. So, for example, a lot of times, right? I think it's a little too detailed, but we discuss confidence interval. A lot of people misunderstand confidence interval. So, for example, I know I predict it is going to rain tomorrow with 95% confidence, and it does not rain. Is my 95% probability wrong? It's actually not. It's actually accurate. So that's something that trips up people. So so if you look at the curriculum, they have put the mathematics first and they have put programming first. So I think once you get those out of the way, when you actually get into the data and try to interpret things, right, it should become easy. So follow the plan, properly, and you should be able to build that intuition and knowledge simply by the virtue of the logic in which you are thinking about things. Yeah, the sequence in which you are thinking about things. So just follow the curriculum and you will build that logic. So, think back to this question after you finish maybe the maths or, the stats part of the course, and you'll really appreciate what I was talking about. Yeah.
Right, right. Cool. So I think there's one question on, sir, please give us a clean roadmap. What are the skills that we have to learn? So probably I can take this question. And so see, Chinta Reddy, I think you don't have to do any Chinta. So first of all, so there's certain basic skills you need to master, like Python, SQL, right? So these are like essentially the language you need to learn to be able to talk to the systems and do some analysis on the data set. So of course, Python SQL is really important. Within Python, I would really emphasize on libraries like Pandas and let's say visualization library like let's say Matplotlib. So you want to be really good at doing exploratory data analysis. That is at the core of data science, I would say. And then once you do that, so master SQL, learn Tableau as well, and of course you need to be relatively good with Excel as well, right? So Excel is not that tough, so that is easy to pick up. So this is something in the first two core modules, right? So which is Python Analytics Framework, and next you need to let's say learn a bit about probability and statistics as well, so that you can basically think from that perspective and do some sort of a statistical analysis on a given problem statement, right? So learn probability statistics, and probably if you have forgotten linear algebra and calculus, so we have a brief refresh which you can use to learn. And then once you come to the ML module, right? In ML module, if you learn at least the core fundamentals, if you just know, let's say even linear regression, logistic regression, and if you just know the fundamentals of what is even supervised learning, what is regression, what is classification, and then some slight, let's say modeling techniques and a bit of evaluation methods, right? If you just know this, you will be, like that's a very good starting point for a data scientist, right? So of course, no one is going to come. Let's say if you are a fresher and you're joining as, let's say, a junior data scientist, no one is going to come to you and say that, hey, can you build me this model? Because that's not what is usually expected. You need to first understand what the problem is. Of course, the modeling could come at a later point of time, but you need to maybe focus more on understanding or doing the basic data analysis, as in answering the most pertinent questions that you might have in your head. So first do that, and then probably start with, let's say, simpler models to understand what the data even looks like, right? So probably implement maybe a simple logistic regression if you're building a classifier. just to make sure understand as in what's happening, right? Probably that's might not be the best thing to do. So once you do that, then now you're sort of ready to sort of move on to the advanced concepts, right? So the roadmap is pretty clear: Python, SQL, core machine learning, core statistics. Yeah, that is pretty much it, right? So let's not dwell more onto that, right? So I think these were the questions I feel we wanted to sort of take. Uh, I feel the other questions are more or less repetitive in nature. So
So there was some question on cloud, which which I feel.
yeah. Please go ahead and take that. Yeah.
Yeah. See, basically, you have to understand that it depends on the company where you're joining. So if your company happens to, your future company, or wherever you end up working, if they happen to use AWS, you need to know AWS. If they if they happen to use Azure, you have to use Azure. And if they happen to use GCP, you are in great place, and you can use GCP. So the point is that it completely depends on the company that you're working for, but that is not at all an obstacle. You can pick anything and learn, get the basics right. More or less, there are some really interesting philosophical differences, but I think that is not really important for a data scientist. Yeah. So there will be cloud engineers, etc., who will kind of take care of all that for you. You will be given a Jupyter notebook that is kind of hosted, and they'll give you a cluster, and you're done. Yeah. So the point is, you should be comfortable with the basics. You should understand the basic architecture, infrastructure. But it is pretty similar across the board, so you don't have to worry about it. Pick anything, and it should be fine. But I would say GCP is really good because it's again, I'm not saying because I work for Google, but think in terms of the way it is designed, right? So serverless is a great place for data science where you don't have to reserve space. Yeah. So Kubernetes is the backbone of GCP, and that really helps accelerate a lot of the work. It removes a lot of overhead on people working. So for example, a lot of ML ops, right? So usually spinning up service servers and all that, right, is a huge headache, which you don't no longer have to worry about because we have the GK whatever.
Right. Cool. So I think, see, all the three cloud platforms, they are really good, right? So of course we are using AWS, but we're also using GCP to some capacity, right? So we're using Firebase services for some of the apps, right? And of course, you guys would know that Azure has also picked up a lot. In fact, it has actually outpaced GCP in terms of market share. But I think all these three platforms are like I think they account for more than 80 or to 90% of the cloud customer base. So all of them are good, and they have really powerful sort of services and tools to sort of make your life easy for if you want to do any sort of work, right? So you want to deploy an app, or you want to deploy any service, more or less, or maybe you want to set up certain automations, you can quickly do using these cloud platforms. And of course, in our curriculum, when we reach the ML engineering bit, right, that is where we are sort of discussing discussing GCP and AWS in detail. We're talking about, let's say what is EC2, right? What is S3? We're talking about let's say what are even Lambda services, what is serverless, what are microservices. So we have all these topics well explained in our curriculum. Probably you might not need it if you're, let's say, going for the other specialization. But if you're choosing data engineering, you're going to learn all about the cloud there, right? So just go ahead and explore the curriculum on your own, and I hope you guys will get much clarity. All right. Cool. So I think so probably I think we can wrap up now, Lalit. So it has been a really great session. We really discussed to quite some lengths, and we took a lot of questions from our student base. So guys, before we sort of wrap up, please fill out the Google form. That is important for you to get the certificate for this session. And so if you have any questions and if you're not able to answer, please send them to, I would say, I'm just sending out my email address. So yeah, please send those questions to my email address, and I will try to, maybe set up a call with you and discuss that personally, right? So yeah, so if you have any unanswered questions, please write an email to us, and I've shared my email as well. So please do that. Apart from that, I think we are more or less ready to wrap up. So any final last words, Lalit, you want to say, or
Yeah. So something I would like to wrap up is, I personally feel, action bias towards action is a great principle to have. So you might, hear a lot of things, and there are even smarter people who are doing free podcasts everywhere. But the thing is, what really matters is you take an action. So I hope you start learning data science, or web development, or whatever you choose, and you actually start, doing things. So bias towards action is absolutely, important in terms of, getting whatever you want. You might have an amazing strategy in your head. It doesn't really take you anywhere. Yeah.
right. Awesome. Awesome. So, guys, so one final thing is you can use this coupon code FLY30 if you want to enroll in our data science course. So you'll get 30% off on the enrollment fee. So just use this coupon code FLY30 and you will be enrolled in the data science course. So please do that. And so first of all, of course, I want to thank everyone who joined this session, as in the audience. I know this is weekend and you might have other commitments, but you still took out time to attend this session. So first of all, thank you so much, guys, for being such an avid listener, and I saw really great participation from everyone. You had a lot of really interesting questions for our speaker. And lastly, I really want to thank Lalit for sharing his exemplary wisdom and sharing his journey, and trying to sort of dispel some myths and probably talk about the best practices that anyone wants to sort of adopt to excel in this career. So really appreciate Lalit for speaking out and taking time out to actually do this session with us. We're really glad that we could do this, and hopefully in future we'll try to sort of do this again as well, right?
Sure.
Awesome, guys. So thank you so much again. We'll close this session. If you have any questions, please email them to me or our team, and we'll share those. So we'll be sharing the certificate for this masterclass by today, probably. If not today, so you'll get it by tomorrow maximum. And so thanks again for joining this. So hope you guys have a great day ahead and enjoy your weekend. So till then, bye. Take care, everyone. All right.